What you did. Now I'm the gal that's chasing you up. Flip my lid. Come here, eager beaver, baby.
Hello and welcome to
Was That an Orgy? Woo!
starring Charlene and Teresa Bawd, two sisters that explore the topics of sex, sexuality, gender, and sex positivity. We will also try to answer the question, was that an orgy?
Yeah, we're on.
Eager beaver, baby. Hey, eager beavers.
What are you going to do with my eager beaver? Wait, I shouldn't look at my sister when I say that.
No, don't look at me
What
when
are
you say
you
that.
going to do with my eager beaver, baby?
We have a peanut gallery here today, so yay for us. Woo! You guys better laugh at our jokes.
Yeah, that's right.
Good. There you go. Keep it going.
Pressure's on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There we are on the big screen.
Oh my gosh.
Making it
I
happen.
always look up there and then go, what is going on?
I do
with
that
my
too.
hair?
Yeah,
every
totally. I'm like,
time.
oh no.
Oh God. Oh, it's like
Yeah.
the 70s and the 80s and the 90s all like collided on my head. And
Oh, you look great. Did
Had
you
a-
get a blowout? And I'm not talking about a sex
No.
thing.
I did not get a blowout.
Okay. It just looks especially like straight and floofy today.
I did actually take the time to blow dry it about halfway.
That's, I see it.
I took some time.
You look like
which
a
is more
silky
than what I
mermaid.
usually do. A
Yeah, I
mermaid.
hear ya.
Oh yeah. Because I smell like fish.
You're a mermaid, exactly. I know. You
Okay.
guys should smell the studio. Oh wow!
Oh, I'll close my
You
legs.
can hear
Stop
the ocean.
complaining.
I know. Close. I was just gonna say that. You can hear the ocean. Close your clam,
Knock down a
For
wall. It
God's sake.
smells like cunt in here.
which we love. Let's
I
not forget that,
love it.
everybody. Yes,
I
we
huff my own
we
all
love
the
the
time.
cunts. We're liberating the word cunt from the bad, dirty word vernacular. You know.
That's right.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
It's a
yeah.
compliment. A compliment.
It's a compliment.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to
So,
stop looking at my
A
computer.
needle pulling thread. Don't look at work. You are off work now.
I am not working for the
now
next
you
hour.
are enjoying yourself,
Uh-huh.
being the dirty bitch you are
all the
Yes.
time.
all the time.
So this weekend, let's talk about what we did over the weekend.
Boy, that means I have to remember. You start.
I'll
'cause-
start. Okay, because
me.
it is what inspired the name of this episode.
Oh, another orgy.
And no, it
Oh
wasn't a
my
orgy this
God.
time. It was like parlor games with
Oh.
consequences.
Oh, do tell. I'm always the one just like riding your coattails, being like,
going like,
yeah.
what did you do
what's
this
it
time?
really like?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
we played a board game,
Uh-huh.
which I lost terribly. The winner sitting right there.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
fabulous. Congratulations.
And in winning, the winner gets to choose like a scene that of course with consent the losers participate in.
yeah.
And so we received a flogging, and the number of spankies you get is dependent on how badly you lost. Guess who lost the worst?
So the loser, if you're into that kind of thing, is
Uh-huh.
actually the wiener.
I felt like a winner.
Yeah.
I felt like I
And you're sitting okay today.
Yeah,
so that
no.
means
I
like,
know, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't too
totally
rough.
good. No.
Yeah.
No, she's a very good winner.
yeah.
Super
Oh, that's
good
good.
winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then the other thing we were playing with was making up like kind of a tongue twister sort of thing where it was like put on your party or put on my party panties, right? Yeah. I put on my party panties. I put on my party panties. And you have to say it. Is it in my face? Okay.
yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, here.
And maybe like do that. Like
Yeah.
that.
I
It's
feel like this
it's like
thing
a cock
fights me.
shark. It's like a cock. You know?
If this was a cock, I would have it in a
Do you
much
give a
better
blowjob
position.
like this? You know, I mean that's fine for a little bit, but not for the whole
That's right.
hour. I mean, you
For the
know,
whole hour.
fucking deep throat.
Oh, yeah,
For God's
yeah.
sake.
Oh, you mean the hour podcast?
Yeah,
Not,
the
not
hour-
that you
yeah.
always give hour-long blowjobs. I mean,
Isn't
it's
that normal?
possible, but yeah.
I thought that was normal.
Wow.
All right, I need to start looking around for a new lover.
Yeah. So the game is you try and say, I put on my party panties, but you try and say it 5 times, like consecutively, really fast. And if you can't do it, then you have to start over, and you receive some flogging if you fail, right?
Is there a
some
timeline?
Spanx.
Like, do you turn over like one of the little like sand,
You just have to say it one right after the other. I put on my party panties, put on my party panties, put on my party panties, I 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 put on my party panties. I think I did it.
Yeah. I think you messed up on purpose.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to receive some punishment later. No.
Yeah, exactly. Cher's like, I pooped in my party pants.
Oh
no.
Oh no.
As she
I
sticks
pooped
out
in
her
my
booty.
party panties.
Yeah. Did you get flogged before your butt painting too?
I did. That's
It didn't look, again, no bruises. No, you guys are professionals. It's very impressive.
It's people who are experienced.
Was it them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do wonderful things, and there can always be like a little, like oops, I got a little tiny bruise or something like that, but it's like you can definitely say negotiate. Everything's like a negotiation and a lot of yeah.
And it's the sub
discussion,
but not really the dom, because it's all about the sub's needs, like how hard and whatever. That's what I like about being a sub.
Subs get to be very well taken care of. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Hopefully it's a symbiotic relationship.
I know. I hope everybody gets something from it.
I think they do.
Yeah, I think so too.
Otherwise they wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So that was definitely the highlight of my weekend. And so then wrestling. And then some wrestling. Just because I love
at the
wrestling.
Same party.
Yeah.
She loves wrestling.
I do.
And you're a strong bitch. Like, you can take men on. Like, you're amazing.
Yeah.
I know.
So I have some rug burns on my knees from that.
Sure, that's what your rug burns on your knees are from. I'm sure.
And that's what everybody's been saying. Yeah, right. That's what they're from. I'm like, no, really.
You can't second whore. So that was the basis of the game. Like, every time it was something like, say these words like this, and then like if they don't say them right, then it's all about creating a scene, like
like at the end of the night.
All right, there wasn't any like naked twister.
No naked twister at this party. Although that's been something that has happened at like sex positive Portland events. Like you remember the anniversary party?
Yeah,
there was
where
a naked twister that night.
Queen Laquifa costume.
Yes, yeah,
naked
Queen
twister.
Laquifa.
Yeah.
There was like
that's my Do you guys okay.
Oh my gosh. So
the peanut gallery is
we're
cracking the shells.
We're cracking the nuts
now
over
you can
here.
Look at their nuts.
We have
look at these nuts.
Jeff and Kat.
Fucking nuts over here.
Jeff and Kat are dear beloved friends, and yes, beautiful people.
And just wonderful floggers. So good at it.
Mother floggers.
These dumbasses over here. Let me tell you. It's so good.
I know.
So good.
Wicked good. So naked twister is definitely a thing you can play. The other game that I've played at sex positive parties is when you take Jenga pieces and you write dirty things on them to do, or just like, just sort of like, risque, like if it were a salsa, it would be mild salsa. In fact, it would be more like guacamole. It's so mild.
Yeah.
But like, so you write like, nibble the neck of the person to your right or something like that. And then when you pull, you can't see what's written on it. So you're tapping out one of the Jenga pieces and then you have to do what's on that. So that's another fun little naughty game to play. And that one can be like, you could make the whole game. You could have your mild, medium, and spicy Jenga sets if you wanted to.
And I imagine too, like carving each piece like a penis and putting yonis on the side and maybe a butthole in the end of it.
I don't know how well they would stack up. Like that would be more of an insertion game.
Yeah.
You got your lingam in my yoni.
No, you got your yoni on my lingam. Reese's penis butter cups. It's
exactly.
It's the new
penis butt hair cups.
Penis
my
butt
God.
hair cups.
So I saw this
high fiber,
totally. So I saw this exchange on social media. This what was it yesterday? No, it was this morning, and it made me laugh so hard because it was like someone says, "Well, how do you like get the front all waxed and perfect?" And then you forget to do your butthole. And then someone responded, "Well, it's kind of like business in the front, party in the rear. It's like the mullet of like pubic fashion.
I
And
love
was like,
it.
oh my God, butthole mullet. So awesome.
Long
Yeah.
and back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I have to say,
Part-
there are probably a lot of people rocking the mullet.
And I'm curious too, because I've been looking a little bit more into like, DIY waxing, because like bikini waxing, it's just fucking expensive. So I'm just
Agreed.
like, and I know that like there's a certain way you're supposed to pull the skin so you don't like rip off someone's like taint or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if anyone knows out there, like what is the home wax system that you can use? A friend of mine was recently telling me that like they don't use like the hot gooey wax with the strips. It's like these just strips of pure wax that they use. But I'm scared.
I would be too. I mean, just like the times that I've had it done, usually I'll bruise, and I think your skin is really similar to mine. So
oh my God,
it may not. That was the bummer. I was like, I just paid so much money, and now I look like someone just punched me in the pussy like 50 times. Like it's just not good looking.
Yeah.
And like I can't even see my own butthole, but I can imagine what it looked like.
Yeah, donkey punch.
It probably looked like Rocky in the final scene when he's like, I love you, Adrian. It's like all puffy and red. It's
Right?
like so gross.
Oh
Yeah.
no. And then like it's a trade-off, because I remember I forgot like what happens when you actually shave. So like after the end of one of my long-term relationships, when you start caring about what your like genital hair looks like again,
once you clear the brambles, you have to take the machete to the brambles.
First you have to let a goat go in and eat all the big, eat it down. And then, but like I made the mistake of shaving, and I ended up with like the most horrible case of pizza puss.
Oh no.
It was like honestly, it looked like a pooperoni pizza on my crotch, where it was just like nothing but pussy zits, like all the fucking, and here I was like, I'm gonna shave and impress this guy, and then it was like, ring, no, horrible.
It's like the teenage boy showed up at the party like,
yeah,
I'm really excited to see you. Like, oh my God, you just made me think when you were talking about like first have the goat come in, like that would be a whole. I've seen puppy play and kitties, but like goat play, someone who just like
wait, are you actually talking about like real bestiality?
No, I'm talking about like kind of BDSM,
good,
like
puppies and kitties.
People
what
who
the fuck?
people who like to be the puppy, and then the person who likes to be their owner or whatever.
Role play.
Role playing. Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, does anyone do the goat? Like, is there someone who's like the goat and I mean, it's a totally different way of being.
Yeah, it's hard to get the square pupils.
It is.
Yeah.
But you could improvise.
Yeah, totally. I could see it. Daddy. Yeah. That reminds me of actually one of the scenes. Big Daddy. When I was in an improv class, my teacher was always trying to make me an improv class, always not go for the low-hanging fruit.
Fuck that.
It's a compulsion of mine.
The low-hanging fruit's right there, though.
I know, tickle, you kind of yeah. And so we were in a scene, like, and you can come in and like, to a scene that's happening and just be like ambiance. So me and this lady, Sharon, we get in our hands and knees, and she's like, let's be the sheep. And so we get in our hands and knees. And then like scene's going well, and then right at the end, the shepherd's going to take us back home. And I was like, I sure hope he doesn't sodomize us again tonight. Like that. And, like the whole class goes, oh, Teresa. And my sweet teacher, rest her soul, she goes, Teresa, honey, you don't always have to make it icky. Like that. I was like, but I do. That's what you don't understand.
I want to make you business cards now that say Teresa Bawd, I make it icky.
Yeah.
I always make it icky.
I always make it icky. You can count on me to make it icky. I know.
Oh my God.
But the horror and horrible.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, wait, did you finish your story about the puppies and the kittens?
Yeah, that was it. I was just saying, like, it would be really fun to have someone who liked to role play as the goat, and you'd be like, "Can you clear the brambles or whatever?" Yeah,
that's going to be my new term.
Like they eat anything, basically.
Or ass eating. Clear the brambles. Clear the brambles. Yes, exactly. I love it.
Oh my God. Then the other thing that came up for me this weekend was this illustration that someone had done for me, like 12 years ago, I think, and it was an illustration depicting a scene that had happened in my life where when I was married to my first husband, his brother was living with us, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
and I had this very sibling relationship with him. So he's standing in the kitchen and I run up to him, squeeze a fart out on his leg, and start running away. And as I'm running away, my thumbs are pointing up. God knows why I was running like that. Running like this. And my sweet, beloved Balthazar, Great Dane, was standing in the kitchen. And he was probably having the best day ever because we're all just like hanging out at home. And I'm running. And my right thumb just goes right into his butthole. And the poor dog looks at me like, Mom, why?
Either that or he was like, more, Mom, more.
More, Mom.
Do dogs
Yeah.
have prostates?
They have
You
anal
actually know.
glands.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, I don't think they like having their anal glands expressed.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of uncomfortable. At least when we had to have it done for him, it was uncomfortable. So anyway,
I'm sorry I asked.
and I
Go
took
on.
the,
No,
and I took my thumb, and then I was chasing Mike.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
I remember
butthole thumb.
you told me about this, and I said, did your nail turn into like a shit shovel? Did you get poop all over you? And you said, no, there was just a little juice on it.
Little juice, little butthole
Maybe
juice.
it did, milk his little anal gland.
It
Just a
might
little
have,
bit.
yeah.
Exactly.
So anyway, that memory came up for me, and that was a really sweet and fun memory
sweet
where it was
memory.
very sweet. Yeah, I was like,
did you give a close?
oh, remember when I used to fart on Mike and chase him around with butthole thumb? Like those were the days.
Right, those were the days.
Now I'm so serious
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when I found out he was sleeping with Danielle, your old best friend, who's now his wife. And I said, Mike, so I heard you did the primal poke with Danielle. And he turns to me and he goes like, Teresa, just let me know when you get like an ounce of, oh God, what was the word? It wasn't sensitivity.
Decorum?
Taste. It was like that. I think that
Decorum's
was
definitely
more multisyllabic than the word he chose, but an ounce of taste, something like that. Anyway.
Which just makes you want to say those things even more, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, it's like the best way to get me to stop doing a thing is simply to ignore my bad behavior.
Yeah.
That I will stop. I'll be like, oh, that didn't get a response.
I know.
If someone acts disgusted by me, I'll be like, oh, it's on.
I found your Achilles heel. Yeah, I know.
I know, it's terrible.
We're cut from the same cloth.
I know, it's awful. Well, and
Going to hell
we
together.
definitely played that game with each other where you and I would sit at the dinner table and Mom would make that meatloaf that had Swiss cheese oozing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you and we'd look at each other and I'd be like, there's pus running out of your meatloaf. And then you'd be like, there's snails going across the window. And I'd be like, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, who can gross each other out the most?
Yeah.
When we weren't
Oh my
punished
God.
for it. It's their fault.
So do you have a report from the weekend or should we jump right into questions?
If I can't really remember, then it's not the best sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, that
It's
might
like-
mean that you had a great time. That's okay too.
I just haven't been doing like the, ethical non-monogamy thing like you have, I've just been kind of like, again, like I'm ethical, you're the slut. So ethical slut. So yep. Boring.
Yeah. Oh, well. You're
I know.
having fun though.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm living large.
You're
Large mom.
well, you're having your own growth and change and all that stuff. So that's exciting.
And fuck fest. Don't forget the fuck fest.
And the fuck fest.
And
That's
I'm having a
important.
fuck fest. That's
great.
the best part.
So this question is from one of our
We're gonna answer questions.
serious listeners that like we
So
know
serious.
we know that they're in like tuning in a lot. So I'm hoping that they're
Tuning into
tuned in
what's
this
in
time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and read it word for word
Do it.
because I like the way they worded
Except
it.
for
as well.
the missed word at the bottom. But go.
Is that word cunt?
Now. Oh,
Oh,
boy.
there's a comment coming up. Well,
Comment,
maybe we do that
comment.
first. Good job with the consent.
He's watching.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
boy.
We're in so much trouble.
Get it right.
Yeah.
Now I know who it is. I didn't know who was. But now I know. I'm going to get him.
2 thumbs up.
Hey, right up your ass.
So, in ethical non-monogamy, also abbreviated sometimes to E&M for those who don't know that, I found that more difficulties with envy than with jealousy. So, first of all, we can kind of get into the difference between envy and jealousy. And jealousy is like I think jealousy is kind of like feeling this loss and kind of sometimes fear of like something being taken from you, or you not kind of like something being taken that you can't have, or like a fear of lack of resources or something like that. Envy is more like, oh, I really want to be part of that thing.
Totally.
Like there's, at least
FOMO.
that's how
it's
I see.
FOMO.
Yeah, it is kind of FOMO. Oops. Okay.
Don't fuck it up.
I often find I'm totally fucking it up.
Good.
Just guaranteed. I often find myself feeling excluded when partners or friends are having fun in some way or another, and for some reason I don't participate. I totally feel happy for them, but to have been but I totally feel happy for them to have been able to enjoy the moment. I don't know how I can better make myself feel desired or included. Should I be more present? Should I be more demanding? It's hard because I don't want to interfere or be like the center of attention. So I have seen this question come up a few times where it's like, you're seeing people start having like a natural sort of connection, and you're seeing things come together.
Oh, wait, I have a question, because I had a question about the question.
Okay.
And what I was curious about is like, I assume this person means that they're not being like invited in general to the play party versus like, I was also wondering if he meant like, is he at the play party and he's not being invited into what's happening? I assume it's the first.
Okay, I was assuming the second.
Oh, okay.
But we can discuss, because everyone at some point will experience one or the other. Maybe we can talk about it both ways.
Yeah.
So first we can talk about it your way, which is you weren't even included. You weren't even invited to the thing.
Right.
So I hadn't really thought about that. I don't know if you want to go first so that I can kind of think about it.
I thought about that because that's how I took it.
Great.
And the first thing I thought is like, because something like that happened to me during COVID, but it was actually a non-sexual group of friends where, they're old friends, and they were inviting my roommate to go out to some person's property all the time. And they decided to be an air bonded pod, but she lives with me. And so like, it was like, I was thinking like, well, I'm air bonded with my roommate, and she's going. And so it was really challenging, but I just had the nerve to ask, like, I'm just curious, like, why I would love to go, and I don't want to push myself on the situation, but I notice I'm not being invited. And then she hadn't really thought about it. She said, oh my God, I don't know why. We were just sort of imagining keeping something small and air bonded, but you're roommates. And, it just took that. And then all of a sudden I was invited. And so I think like kind of like gently asking, making it known that you want to participate in that. And then of course, like myself, I always make like the disclaimers of like, I don't want to be a part of something that I'm really not wanted at.
Yeah.
But I would love it. I'm willing and available. And then, if it doesn't work out, then of course, I just want you to tell me, I want you to be honest about it. And so make your interest known. And then the other thing that came to my mind is like, I think it's easier on all of our egos to be invited to something, and harder, takes a lot of good self-esteem, like you got, to just make your own. You can always just make your own too. And but that really is putting yourself out there in a big way.
Yeah.
To it takes a lot of confidence to know or assume, or at least try to be that like have that much self-worth, and to know that you're desirable. Kind of takes that.
Right.
And if you don't already know that, though, this is a great opportunity to give it a shot and see, how desirable you are, at least by these people.
Right.
So,
well, and I'd say that it's if you're creating, like, let's say you're creating a group, or you're creating like a, sexy party or something like that. It isn't just about you and how desirable you are, but it's also about your curation of the group and how, like, them sort of trusting you to bring together a group that's really going to gel, because not everybody's going to know each other usually. And so they're going to be like, well, do I know this person to be, aware of who I am and my preferences and tolerance and, all that stuff? Or do I think that they're just going to like invite everybody and make this big crazy thing that I really don't want to be part of. So
Right.
I think it is like also kind of them trusting you in that way, but then also their level of comfort. Like there just might be one person there they just don't like. And you may not, as the host, even know that. And so someone might not even tell you why they're not showing up.
Right,
And that's
right.
okay too. Like
That's the glory of like communication too, is to just make yourself vulnerable and ask so that you don't like project that narrative on the situation and, end up with like an ego wound. And I imagine sometimes too, it's like, just like in love and everything, sometimes you got to fuck a lot of toads to find, which ones doesn't give you warts, and this the prince or the princess or or the thems. We don't have a non-binary term for that.
Royalty
that's non-binary.
Just royalty.
Let's work on that.
The royalty.
The royalty.
The royalty.
I like it.
Yes.
Royals.
Snap.
The royals.
Yes.
Yes. That's what came on my mind.
Mm-hmm. That's what your mind jizzed out. So I was thinking in the second scenario, if it's a live situation where there are people that you're that are interacting, let's say, okay, scenario 1 is you're at a sex club with your partner, and then there are other people there, and your partner starts interacting with someone, and let's say starts interacting with both of the other partners.
Yeah.
That's a really great thing to talk about beforehand.
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah.
Is make desires and fears and boundaries known ahead of time.
Right.
So before you even walk through the door of that club, you say, my fear is being left out. And so, if it starts looking like it's a thing that won't include me, just know that that's really going to be hard for me. And I can deal with it, but it's going to be really hard. My desire is to be included. And if you can wave me into something, if you're seeing me looking like I'm starting to pull back, if you can wave me into something, that would be awesome. Or to be like, oh, who's really great at cunnilingus? This guy.
Right.
And then get included.
Right.
And then boundaries are, just saying like, and what I would like to have happen, what I would not like to see happen tonight are these things. And then to kind of have that conversation ahead of time. And then, try and keep them really simple, because we all know that when we go into those kind of sexual situations that like we do get flooded with all sorts of beautiful, delicious drugs, hormones, all that stuff. And so
you mean internal drugs?
Yeah. It doesn't mean we're taking drugs. You don't need to take drugs in that situation at all, because you're just
oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Those are the drugs.
Yeah, exactly. So so just kind of knowing that also when you express those desires, fears, and boundaries, that to keep that really as simple of a conversation as you can, and to keep the language very simple so that it's really easy for your partner or partners to remember. Because going into a situation with like a billion words floating in your head, you're not going to remember a lot of them.
Right.
Or at least I don't.
And what comes to mind too is like, remember how like, Dad had a thing growing up where like he hated when we smacked our lips at the dinner table. And then so we inherited that as children, that like we would start to look at each other. You're smacking your lips. You're smacking your lips. Yeah. And you with your big braces, I
can't even close my lips around these braces.
Right. We were just like projecting, dad shit. But then Mom got like to a place where she was like, all right, when you notice the other one smacking their lips, like instead of like saying it at the dinner table, which humiliates each other. Yeah. She told us like, create like a hand sign. Like, so she told us to pull our earlobe, like to say like, you're smacking your lips and it makes me want to fucking puke. Yeah. So maybe, I was thinking like even a hand symbol, if you're in a club, and you want to be a part of it, like just have some kind of signal, like, whip it out and jerk off. And I don't know, something more subtle than that. Like maybe, have some kind of a signal to let them know. And then, a signal back. Like,
and ideally it's a signal that doesn't pull the person completely away. Like, okay, if I say I'm going to the bathroom and you need to follow me to the bathroom, I mean, that's a good signal for we need to stop this entirely because I'm dying over here. That's an okay signal for that. If it's short of that, where it's like, hey, can you find a way to include me? Something that doesn't disrupt the whole scene would be
Right.
nice. Something
Right.
that's kind of like, like the ear pull, or even like just kind of a brush of the arm or something, just something that looks really loving and doesn't come across as like,
hey, I want to fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is a lot of communication sometimes that has to happen in those situations. And there's going to be the communication between you and your partner, and then you with the other people, and then between them sometimes. And so it's like kind of you're playing like the telephone game.
Right. Yes. Well said.
Uh-huh.
I like
times.
that. Those are good skills. You should
Peanut Gallery, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah.
Did we miss anything?
Penis Gallery.
Penis Gallery.
You're evolving right before our eyes and thighs.
Which one of us is the Penis Gallery?
Yeah.
I think you might be the...
It speaks for
that part of
itself.
it.
Look what you did to her. Look what you did. No, just kidding. Assuming you did.
We're not on camera.
Yeah, exactly. You can say what you want. Or don't say anything at all. Not to put you on the spot. But, if you ever want to chime in,
you
just be like...
You can give us one of these nonverbal cues and be like...
Oh, Mr. Cat.
Yeah, like we used to do in elementary school where you're like holding your arm up for so long that you're like...
yeah. Or you can give us your own special sign. Whatever. Zip.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
One of us will notice it.
Smacking my lips?
That's going to get my attention every time, by the way.
Yeah. Right.
The tongue between the fingers.
Yes,
I'm like,
yes.
Oh,
hello. V is for victory.
I'm paying attention.
Now I am.
Oh my gosh.
So what's
so did we?
I think we covered that one.
I feel like we covered it.
I feel satisfied.
Well, let us
People
know, dear
you
listener.
guys can chime in comments. Like if anyone's like more woke than we are, just
what? Not possible. I'm woke as fuck.
Yeah. So I feel like we've fucking. Oh, my new thing too. My friend,
your lover.
He introduced this new term to me that like when something's really great, it's that fucks. So now that's what I'm obsessed with.
Fucks.
Like, we went clothing shopping for him, and I was like, oh no, in the shoe store, like these shoes really fuck. Those ones. That's what. Yeah.
I have never heard this. This is incredible. Yeah.
It's the new thing.
That fucks.
Yeah. So now I want to make one of my sketch comedies about Bobby Bawd. It's my cross-dressing character about a store called Shit That Fucks. Come on down to Shit That Fucks. All of this shit really fucks here. And we got the sales section. This shit used to really fuck, but it doesn't fuck as much.
That's incredible. Wasn't there like a place in Southeast Portland that was called like really good stuff? Yeah, really great stuff.
Miss Kitty works there.
Shit That Fucks.
Yeah,
like that
right next
is
door.
that
The
place.
competition. Yeah. Shit That Fucks. You want really good stuff, and you want shit that fucks. We all know you want shit that fucks.
That's where the snakeskin boots are. Right there. Shit that fucks.
Yeah, exactly. With shit on the tip of them.
Of dog anal juice.
Shit that fucks.
Shit that fucks. Oh my God.
Sounds like a yeast infection waiting to happen.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is the other question that I sent you earlier that we could talk about.
Why is it?
Why does it almost feel good in the moment to lash out at partners? Is it because you're making your emotions heard? Although maybe unhealthily, or is there more to it?
Yes, and more to it. I'd say yes and.
Me too. Yes and for sure.
Yeah.
Let's yes and them.
Yeah. You go.
Okay.
You got shit?
I know that shit. Yeah. So part of it is I'm going to assume that you're lashing out because maybe you're experiencing some difficulty in like maybe around jealousy or something like that, and that it feels like your partner has perhaps given you some sort of injury, like an emotional wound or something like that. And so it does feel good when you feel injured by someone to lash out and strike back at them. And in a way, it kind of turns it around so you feel like maybe more powerful. Nobody likes to feel victimized in a thing.
Some people, I don't know, like some people, that's the game they play is they like to play the victim.
That,
know,
and that does happen.
And they wait and not take the opportunity to express the emotions in a vulnerable way to give them the information they need to not do the thing, you know, and then they come out, like a victim when
Yeah.
they didn't actually take the steps, into vulnerability of
Yeah.
letting the other person know what works or doesn't work and how something's making them
Yeah.
feel.
And it's
So-
really scary. I think the reason, and another reason it feels safe to lash out, and it doesn't feel safe sometimes to express just a fear or a desire, is that feels really vulnerable to just be like,
exactly.
well, I know that we have our separate nights, but sometimes when you're having a date and I'm not, I feel like maybe I'm less important to you and that maybe I'm not as attractive as your other partners and
Mhm.
and it'd feel really good to me right now if I just, if you could just tell me that I'm pretty.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
That's
that's a hard thing to say though. Like it was hard to
Totally.
even say hypothetically.
That's the first thing that came to my mind is, in the attachment styles psychology is protest, please.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people that aren't really secure and don't have like the best sense of self-worth and self-esteem and know their value and they're desirable, they tend to not express their needs as easily. And so then,
Mhm.
the protest plea is essentially when you have repressed this acknowledging your need for reassurance to a point
Uh-huh.
where you start really developed a lot of like build up of fear of abandonment and scenarios in
Mhm.
your head. And then the protest plea is about wanting any connection at all versus none, and getting to
Yeah.
that victim place
Needing
too.
attention.
Like
Yeah.
like someone should have known, they should have read your mind or something like that, like and then you come
Yeah.
back with this like, you're hurting me,
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
giving them the information ahead of time. And it's so hard if you're most of us have ego wounds. It's so hard to come forward if you don't feel sure of yourself and you don't feel desirable to come forward and say like, I really need reassurance right now.
Yeah.
You know,
The biggest fallacy that we do in love and relationships, in my opinion, is if you loved me, you would understand me. That is
Mhm.
not true. Like
Mhm,
you
mhm.
can understand parts of a person, but you can't truly understand the entirety of a person. And you can't predict how they're going to react to every situation. And so
Yeah.
it really like that's what kind of backloads that hurt and that feeling is, well, if you really knew me, if you really loved me and knew me, you would understand and you would have known ahead of time. And that's
Mhm.
absolutely not true.
Yeah, right.
I can kind of predict based on like past behaviors how someone's going to react to something, but you never know.
Yeah. And we also do that thing where we project onto other people that there's this universal way of loving, like in the way
Mm-hmm.
we love and enjoy feeling, how we experience love and being loved. Everyone has a different way. It's like that's what the oh God, what was that book called? The languages of love
Oh
languages,
yeah. Uh-huh.
is all about, is that people feel loved in different ways. And so when someone's
Mm-hmm.
not loving us in a way that we feel loved, and we tend to
Mm-hmm.
love others in a way that makes us feel loved, if they're not
Yeah.
doing that, it's easy to project that narrative that they don't love us or they don't care about my feelings. And so getting
Yeah.
clear about what your love languages are is really important as well.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dude, I think I
Mhm.
might have just had an epiphany.
You did? I can see it in your
Yeah.
eyes.
Fuck.
Pressing the bell.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So an ex had the love language of giving gifts.
Mhm.
And in the dissolution of the marriage, they are trying to drain me of resources. It is anti-gift giving.
Oh, gotcha.
Wild.
Yeah, punishment.
Punish. Yeah.
Yeah, punish.
Strange.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a
Well-
weird epiphany.
Boom. Light bulb exploded with shit. The other
Corn and
thing,
peanuts all over that light bulb.
I know. Oh, sure. Clean up on Isle Teresa. The other thing that came to my mind about that was the original question was about why does it
Lashing
feel
out.
good to lash out?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that came to my mind too is like, it all leads back to communicating early enough and vulnerably enough about your needs, because
Yeah.
the other thing that happens, so imagine all that happens, you're not communicating, you project this narrative that someone doesn't love you, And then when you get really worked up, as soon as adrenaline enters the bloodstream, the frontal lobe shuts down. And that's like the lobe of higher reasoning.
Yeah.
So then you're just a shit tossing ape and your body's going into fight or flight. And usually when it's like someone you love, you know, and you're not afraid of them and you're just angry, your mind goes to war.
Yeah.
It's not able to reason, you know, and then if you combine that with like the protest plea, like that, I want connection, anything. And I'm going to act out because I want you to show me that you really love me. I will, you know, even if sometimes I think that's what people are hoping for. They're hoping the other person is going to be like, no, you know, calm down. I love you. So they're
come back.
It's almost like an attempt at getting the reassurance in a passive aggressive kind of a way.
Very dramatic.
And once your frontal lobe shuts down, like ain't nothing good gonna happen. Like you gotta like take your walk, breathe deeply, and reapproach, because until you have like, you know, your frontal lobe back, you're shit tossing ape.
For real. Yeah.
Not, you know, calling whoever said this is shit tossing ape.
We're all shit tossing apes at some point. Like,
Yeah.
I've certainly been there.
Yeah.
I think that brings up a good point when you say like you kind of put up with a thing, you tolerate it. Don't tolerate something that at its core you know feels intolerable. Like,
right. Be clear about your needs.
You just, and even if you say, I am having a hard time with this thing. You know, I know that we signed up for XXX, but I'm still having a hard time with it. And just saying those things ahead of time is going to stop it from becoming a pressure cooker. I always use the pressure cooker analogy because I used to be a total pressure cooker. I would not say anything. I would deny my needs until I was just freaked out. And then I'd be like, what the fuck? And then it was like, and then once you get to that point, shit tossing ape. It's so hard to verbalize what you need, why you're upset, all that stuff. And so it was like, now I know to just kind of like let off a little steam every once in a while and just be like, I'm having a hard time with this thing, or I really wish this could have happened, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And let it just, even if it sounds unreasonable, maybe still try saying the thing, even though and I think we all have these really high ideals of like, well, if I were truly an enlightened person, I'd be able to, you know, divorce myself from my ego. No, ego is actually an important part of us. If we were completely without ego, I'd be like, oh, I don't even care about my own survival.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so ego is important. Go ahead and let yourself have an ego. And just, you know, acknowledge it and say, yeah, I might be even being unreasonable here, but this is just how I'm feeling right now.
Right. Like do the deep breaths ahead of time when you feel that need to lash out. You know, that's when you want to like, okay, you know, I'm upset. I need to go, you know, in the other room and like take deep breaths and get calmed down and ask yourself, what is it that I really need? What is it that I really want? And to be able to be clear with the other person about that. And time too. It's like everything, you know, when we work up a dialogue in our heads, we can get so flustered and overwhelmed, and it seems so all important to figure it out now.
Right.
And if you can be patient and realize like this isn't life or death, to put a little like, you know, fart bubble of patience and love and cotton candy around it, and know that like you don't have to figure everything out to be okay, you know? And also like maybe just take a look around and you know, it's like our reality is what we're focusing on. So if you can actually like pull back the telephoto lens, I mean, this is something that I do sometimes is like pull it back and pull it back and pull it back till I see, you know, the blue planet with the clouds going over it and all the people, you know, and it gets quiet and just realize
people sound like chickens.
I'm one of the bracks.
We're all the gawk box.
And to just put it into perspective that we're never going to get it all figured out. We're never going to get it all done. And to know that your survival, your safety, you know, your security does not depend on that. Make room for there to be like eternal, you know, not figuring it outness.
And,
you know,
ambiguity.
We're never going to do it.
Eternal ambiguity.
You and your words.
Be good with ambiguity.
Yes.
And the other thing that came to my mind as you were talking as well is physical pain. Sometimes your body isn't great at realizing that emotional pain and physical pain, like in some ways they hit similar pain receptors in your body, and so like, or in your brain. And so when you're feeling emotional pain, sometimes there is that desire to try and like make it go away really quickly, because imagine it's physical pain and someone's injuring you. Of course you need to stop that injury so that you can start the healing process. Emotional pain isn't exactly the same way, because you feel that sense of urgency, but actually waiting is better, so that you can work with a full brain. You're not just amygdala.
And something I did hear in like one of the books that I junk on was talking about the difference between people that are more kind of like, I don't want to say male, female, but, maybe estrogen versus testosterone dominant in their systems. This book was just describing men and saying that like women tend to like get back to a place of, like men sustain physical arousal longer when there's conflict, that actually, because, men's bodies are designed to more be like, hunter gatherer, like warrior protector, and so that there's actually a physical agitation that happens. And it gave me insight to the last long-term relationship I was in, where when we'd start to have conflict, he would start to pump his fists. And like, it was intimidating to me. And I used to think like, you're trying to intimidate me. But then in this book, it actually said that like their bodies, when their frontal lobe shuts down, their bodies are preparing for war or flight. And so there's actually more of a physical agitation in people that are like more hormonally towards, men. And that it's especially important for them to take the walk and breathe, deeply and calm down. And that, people that are more on the estrogen side need to actually make sure, like women, estrogen side tends to, fear more this provider leaving. And so we're like, no, don't go away. I need you to resolve this, especially like if they're more anxious attachment style, like, no, I need to resolve this right now. I don't feel safe unless we get to closure and reattachment. But if you don't let them go and calm themselves and breathe deeply, it's just going to be a continued shitstorm, So
I agree. And that was something that I definitely learned in my first marriages. He was really good at taking a walk or like leaving a situation when he felt activated. And at first I kind of felt like that was like a, him leaving me. And then I, after a few
punishment.
Times, and then eventually I kind of realized like, oh no, he's actually way better when he comes back to me. And so it was a thing where I learned to calm the fuck down. And just be like, he is going to come back. So calm down. And when he comes back, he's going to be a more centered human. He's going to feel better. And hopefully I'm going to be a more centered human as well. And we can like meet eye to eye more.
And for those that have like more of that, fight or flight system, they need to like go take a walk. Say when you're going to come back. Say when you're going to be willing to resolve the situation. And fucking do it. Because if you don't do it, then you are starting to like fuck with people's psyches, attachment styles. If people are anxious and they have a fear of abandonment, and you keep leaving and not come back, it reiterates like, you're not worth it. So gotta fucking come back.
Generally, like as a general rule, I like to think that things you can come back within 24 hours. If it's sooner than 24 hours, that's lovely if you feel like you're up for it. But just say, I will come back within 24 hours and we can talk about this and resolve it.
Communication Miracles with Couples, one of the books I read, it was also saying that the author highly recommended having these like attuning rituals after conflict, because people do sometimes get into punishing each other by stonewalling. Like, all right, well, I'm just going to withdraw my love and see how you feel about that. You'll never ask to have your needs. You'll never confront me again.
My ass is an iceberg.
So he was saying that like sometimes, at least he was recommending that it's good to request, like, I think he called it a spoon tune or something like that, where like you at least agree to have like a 60-second hug, because he found that like when people engaged in this hug and just felt each other, you don't talk, you just breathe, that in that time they started actually feeling in tune again and feeling the love, especially if you're not focusing on punishing them.
You're like giving them the most stiff robotic hug ever.
Do you like this?
Beep, boop,
Here's
boop,
your
and
fucking
make
hug.
beeping sounds. Beep, boop, 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 beep. Beep, boop, boop, here's your hug.
Yeah. Branches coming in. Right. Totally. I mean, you gotta play fair.
Yeah,
You gotta
absolutely.
try. Everyone has to try.
Koala hug 'em.
Yeah.
Oh! What's a koala hug?
Koala hug. So that was that's one of my wrestling moves.
Uh-huh.
When I'm just being like the immovable object that's just like a big heavy lump of clay.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes if someone's above me, I'll just like wrap my arms and legs around them and just hang off of them and be like, I'm a baby koala.
Try to move this.
I love you, mommy.
I love that.
I might have done that.
Yeah. Oops. Ooh. And he lived to tell about it.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And then he climbed in your marsupial
I'm
couch.
why am I sore?
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, in closure of this question, which is it's a really good one about like, lashing out. It's so important. It a lot of this still comes back to, I feel like if you can not wait until you're upset, like as soon as you start to feel upset about something, rather than start to devalue your own worth by thinking to yourself, like, how many of us have thought like, I'm just going to play this cool. I'm going to be cool about this and, stifle my emotions and grow a tumor inside instead. It's
love that.
Just from the beginning, start to make yourself vulnerable, and you can say that it feels vulnerable. And what does Brene Brown say? Vulnerability is the backbone of intimacy and trust.
It's true. It's true. And I've definitely found that within myself that I had some great conversations with a partner this weekend where we were really vulnerable and they expressed some desires to me that were like pretty unconventional. And I was like, that makes me feel closer to you. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. Whether you want to do it or not. Someone gives you permission
Them
too,
voicing
right?
their desire makes me feel like, whoa, you let me in the next layer. Like I'm like a few layers deep now. Whoa, dude. Like anything like that where you express a desire or, a fear or something like that, it does bring people closer if you can do it with vulnerability.
Yeah. And I find that often is how we begin to stair step in our depth of intimacy is by, again, it gives you permission then to be more vulnerable and,
I love it. Okay, so I think we have time for one last question. And I loved this question because it is one that I've had some problems with in the past.
Okay.
So I'm going to nutshell it because it was a really long question. I'm going to nutsack it.
Yeah.
So basically it's someone who's dating is a woman who's dating a married man. They've been dating for a couple of years. The man and
it's ethical non-monogamy.
Ethical non-monogamy. Okay. Everything's on the up and up. And the man and his wife have been dating they've been married for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they also still have a very active sex life. And so this, the person who is the girlfriend is sometimes experiencing jealousy around the wife. And knowing that they have a very vibrant sex life on top of their relationship and all that stuff. And that brings up so many great things that might have to spill into next week because there are so many different ways of, marriage and ethical non-monogamy, and then also having partners and stuff like that. And so what she was experiencing was that she had a hard time dealing with the thoughts of, it's, Saturday night, which is the night when they're together and they have great sex and they're so together and all that stuff. And so there was one time recently.
I have to ask a clarifying
Yeah.
question too. I assume that she's not seeing anybody else. This is
It-
her mainstay.
She didn't mention seeing
Okay.
anyone else, and so I'm assuming that that's the case.
Okay.
And I guess the wife was out of town for a while. She came back. The husband and wife had a beautiful reunion, and he sort of mentioned it to his girlfriend, who's the one who wrote the question into us. And she's like, and I'm having a really hard time because he told me about how, they had a great weekend because they hadn't been together for a while. And then I was trying to be the bigger person. And so I asked, oh, tell me about it. And then they had serious regrets right afterwards. Oh no.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I empathize so much with that because I've totally done the same thing. I'm like, I'm a big enough person to take that. And then it's like, and then you kind of go like, well, wait, you had the best sex ever with your wife? And but
oops.
you've never told me that we've had the best sex ever. And you know, so it's like so it starts getting into that sort of like comparing thing.
Yeah.
And comparing is super dangerous for relationships.
And absolutes are best sex ever.
Absolutes are also dangerous. Yeah. It's or you should always disclaimer that by saying the best sex I can actually remember in its entirety, or the best sex I've had.
Just leave that part out.
Yeah. It, that's a good thing to leave out.
It throws gas on the fire of competitiveness.
Yeah, exactly.
We all want to be the best, right? Like we want to be the favorite. It just makes us feel more secure.
Yeah. Although I think some people would rather not be the favorite, but that's like a totally different thing.
Right.
They're like, give me more space.
But maybe deep inside they still want to be the favorite.
Maybe they want to be the most desired because they're giving so much space.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know, but yeah. So I think, well, first of all, I think you definitely sort of learned where your limits are in asking that question, and then in receiving the answer and how you felt about the answer that you received. Like you basically learned, I really don't want details. Right. And a lot of couples get to that point where, and whether you are married or dating or whatever, whatever you are in that relationship, realize what your comfort level is with the level of detail that you want. And even if your partner desires more detail, you can ask for as much detail as you want. You can say, I prefer to only know things that are about my, about STI status or something like that. Like it can be very bare bones.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of learned where your comfort level is in asking that question and receiving the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good advice. Trusting your emotions. Like, it's like if your emotions are feeling uncomfortable, then finding a way to clarify and voice that is really important. So many of us do that. Like, I'm just going to try to be cool, and I'm just going to try to deny myself and pretend to be somebody else so that they'll like me for who I'm not, and I'll have security. It's like, no, give it a chance.
It sounds bizarre when you verbalize it like that, but that's what we're all doing. Yeah. And sometimes, or we have done, or maybe will do, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. And I would say, like, in general, the more you can understand and appreciate the relationship that he has with his wife, and just say, like, yeah, that is their relationship. And if you're at its root, if you're not okay with their relationship being loving and passionate and sexual, then maybe that's not the best relationship for you to be in.
Yeah.
And really, really like dive into that and be brave about, like, how do you feel about that? Do you need to be number one? If you need to be number one, this isn't the best situation for you.
Right.
And that's perfectly great.
Yeah. I think that's a really great point as well. I was thinking the same thing, is like, maybe this isn't the best situation for that person. Because like the other person you were talking about who doesn't want to be the favorite, who's like, good, personal space, finally at last, they might love that. They'd be a pig in the mud with that. But then, if it's torturing you, and it's so hard when we get ourselves into those situations where, we try it on and the good parts of it feel really good, and then we
Mhm.
start to have sex, and then we develop attachment,
Mhm.
and then we don't want to have to go through the pain of detachment, because like
Yeah.
in the human mind, psychologically, that's part of the what the brain goes through that makes breaking up so terrible, especially in this
Yeah.
kind of autonomous monogamy based culture where you, instead of having tribe and community, most of your
Mhm.
needs are projected on one person to
Mhm.
fulfill. And so then when you go through that detachment period, your brain kind of lives in a fight or flight period for a
Yeah.
while of like,
Yep.
we're gonna die if we don't stay in
Yeah.
contact with this person. We're gonna
Yeah.
fucking die
Yeah.
because
It's
all your needs are being,
it's
put towards this
survival level
person.
shit.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also diversifying her needs came to my mind as well.
Mhm.
Like, maybe that would make her situation with the married guy more tolerable
Mhm.
if she had her needs diversified more,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it wasn't all on this one person. So
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I practice, where
Mhm.
even if I have like new
I was gonna say, you think.
well, yeah. But even if I have new relationship energy with someone and I'm like, super excited a lot about them, I'll still make sure that I am seeing people that I've been with for a long time, or
Right.
seeing making sure, because first of all, new relationship energy does burn off eventually. And
Mhm.
so you don't want to have burned every bridge in the past and go like, oh, you're my old toy, I have a new toy. Like you have to realize that stuff is very chemical and driven by chemicals and hormones and
Right. It's
all
like
that fun
spinning
stuff.
plates,
Yeah.
You got to keep the plates spinning, unless you want them to fall down and crash.
Well, I read the term old relationship energy or established relationship energy, and I think that's also very important and beautiful. It is like a
Right.
cozy blankie you can like wrap yourself in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
To not have that crazy, we were talking about rats hitting the
Yeah.
button, the dick button, dick, 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 dick. Break it up a little bit, take yourself out, see some other rats.
You just sounded
Yeah.
like electronic dance
And we're,
music.
wow, look at that.
we're
We
out of
talked
time.
the whole
What?
hour
We
away.
didn't even get through all the
God.
questions. Holy shit.
I didn't
We're
even know about all the questions. Send them over.
I will
Yeah.
eventually.
So, eventually one day we're going to hook up your fucking PayPal and
I need to
Venmo.
make a new PayPal that isn't that isn't my actual just name.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
my namey name.
Your namey name. What's
You
that
could-
in Orgy?
Yeah.
There you go.
I got to do that.
Yeah. I don't know how else people could send money.
Patreon. Yeah, we
Oh,
do
yeah,
have
there's
Patreon. That is
But a
the
lot of
thing I
people are
did.
like, what the fuck is this Patreon bullshit? And they don't want to like
it's
even
not
deal
the
with it.
easiest.
Yeah, see,
I got to
that's-
say, it's a little
that's
bit,
fucking stupid.
it's a little stupid at
All
times.
right, by
but
our
yeah.
next episode tonight, we're not leaving until you
Fine.
make some goddamn and
Okay.
all the bullshit. Like and subscribe because it really does help us like get into closer to being with like Google AdSense, so we can have like annoying mid podcast ads.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. We wouldn't choose that.
Have you tried Shred 50 Max keto version? And by the way, the next thing we're gonna offer you is a moo moo.
I love it. We won't do that.
Those are the ads I get.
Yeah.
I can't decide if I'm like,
Mine are all like erectile medications. I don't fucking understand where
it thinks you're a middle-aged male.
It
I
totally
love that.
does. I know. Maybe it's all my impressions of Bobby Bawd and dick, old man balls. They somehow made it. Probably because I have been looking for all that guy
You
clothes
have
shit online.
been. You've been totally doing that. That's why.
Fake
I
dongs
love
I can
that.
stick down my pants and shit.
Oh, fucking A.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
awesome.
We
Okay.
digress.
Yes. See
Yeah.
you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Goodbye,
And see you
cunts.
guys next
We
Tuesday.
love you.
Woo!
Bye. Goodbye from the
I
Peanut
don't know what
Gallery
you
too.
did. Now I'm the gal that's chasing you up. Flip my lid. Come here, eager beaver, baby. Eager beaver, baby. Eager beaver, baby. Eager beaver, baby. Well, what are you gonna do? This eager beaver, baby.